Attitude, as we've said in previous series, is actually an aviation term. It's the way a plane flies. So a plane can be landing and it can be all cockeyed, which means that's the attitude of the plane. Moving in the right direction, but wrong way of flying. So it has the potential to crash because it's coming in like this instead of like this. So that's an attitude. The attitude of a plane is the way that it's flying. So it wants to be level with the horizon, flying straight. So it wants to have a good attitude. So we've borrowed that psychologically to describe our way of looking at things. That's the attitude that you approach life with, which means the way you understand things, your outlook, your interpretation of events, your interpretation of what other people do or say, and your basic world view. That's your attitude. So having an attitude of victory is not necessarily our default position. Yes, there are some of us who come out of the womb that tend to be more positive, tend to be more aggressive, tend to be more ambitious. I get it, right? But a lot of us, and for the most part, most people today, even though we live in an era of such abundance, we should be the most positive people in the world, there still seems to be a prevailing air of negativity, an attitude of defeat. An attitude of defeat means your expectation is that it's going to be too hard. You're not going to do it. You're going to quit early. It's going to be just like the last time. You will lose in this endeavor. That is an attitude of defeat. An attitude of victory is the opposite. You're saying, no matter what it takes, I'm going to prevail. No matter what I got to do, I'm going to pay the price. I'm going to do what needs to be done. I'm going to pay the price because I know the outcome that I want, and I was born for victory. I was born to win. I was born to overcome this thing. We all have different levels of things we've got to overcome. We all have different levels of goals we're trying to achieve, right? We all come from different status of resources, different status of ability, right? We all have different challenges, but the attitude of victory is ultimately what's going to make the difference no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what the resource capacity is. It's the attitude. If I've got somebody with a great attitude, I can do so much more with that person, even though they have less than the average person, just because attitude is everything. Heart is everything. It's going to take something of that significance internally to do what needs to be done externally. And it doesn't register with people. People think that you've got to have the right stuff. You got to have the right relationships. You got to have the right money. You got to have, the right circumstances. Instead of saying, no, I'm the real circumstance that matters here. I'm the one that matters. And whatever it takes, right, for me to get to the place of winning in life, well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. That is an attitude of victory, because victory is prevailing. Victory is winning. Victory is when you contend with enemies and resistance, and you are the one who comes out on top. That has to be your attitude. And it may be that you're shy and you don't want to be overbearing, right? It may be that you're just a more reserved, introverted type of person, and you don't want to come across like that. Well, you don't have to come across like anything, but it should still be felt. Confidence should still be felt. An attitude of victory should still be felt. So again, as I said in the first episode, kind of like an actor who gets lines and learns a character and has to portray that person. That is, performance. And so that's what we want to see in you, is if you're going to play the role of someone who has the attitude of victory, then what is that going to look like for your life? What does that look like? How do you walk that out, right? How do you fulfill that role? Well, that's what you have to think about. You say, yeah, but that's not who I am. I'm just acting. Right, but you can act it to the degree that you become it. We should all be wired for these things. We should all be wired for positivity because we have the capacity for positivity. You may not have ever lived that way, but you can certainly teach and train yourself to be that way. It just takes effort, right? It just takes effort. It takes a renewing or changing or transforming of your mindset, changing your attitude, transforming your life. That's what an attitude of victory is going to do. Where you're like, no matter where I go, I'm going to exert that energy and that strength, that prowess, if you will, wherever I go. And whatever that means for you, however that looks like, that's for you to decide. But you need this attitude of victory. You need your mind to be set to overcome, to win, to achieve all of it. I'm not just talking about hustle, right? I'm not just talking about happy thoughts. I'm not just talking about this other stuff that we mention all the time. I'm talking about a deeply embedded positive outlook on life where the positivity is derived from you and your capacity more than your circumstances. See, like we're in this particular time right now where the economy is doing well. Well, we're talking about economies change left and right. So you've seen when the bad news comes out, that stock market will go down. Then some other news announcement comes up, the stock market goes up. Very arbitrary. That's not a very stable thing to be dependent upon. And so some people derive then their hopes about things based on events. That's how these investors look at things. You can't look at it that way when it's coming to your own life. When it comes to your own life, you can't look at the external. Because the key to an attitude of victory is when things are really bad, you're still positive. Can you dig it? I hope you can.